Hello again and welcome to From the Desk of. I am Tim Moody. I am the Public Information Officer with the Randolph County School System, and this is our superintendent, Dr. Stephen Gainey. And we always welcome the opportunity each month to get out before the community and share with you and with my TV, Channel 1, some of the things that are going on in the Randolph County School System. We've always got a lot of exciting things, and this month is no exception. Dr. Gainey, you and I both just came from a special event that took place out at Southwestern Randolph High School. That was the annual Special Olympics, and I know that's it's as special to you as it is to me. So can you just share with us a little bit about that experience?
Well, it is a highlight. It's an annual event, and at one point I was just standing and watching from the football field all the different students there, the participants, and then you had students who were there as helpers, helping make the event flow in a very positive manner. There was a ton of staff members. There were community members out there. What better way to showcase students? We have so many events throughout the school system and throughout the school year that showcase our children, and that's one that just really is always a highlight for me. And just the excitement out there. It was great weather today. It wasn't too hot. It was sunny, wasn't raining, and so everybody was having fun, and they were competing hard when I left, and so just exciting, and I always look forward to it. So.
And one thing that struck me is, as they call out each school's name, you hear everyone cheering for the other schools. And with Asheboro High School being there, you have some rivalries, but yet for this event, everyone was cheering for everybody, and that was a great thing to see.
Well, I think the entire community is very proud of that event, and it's just, and when I go back to, there were non-school individuals involved from the community as far as providing support and providing leadership too. So I think it's just a great example of the very positive, wonderful community we live in that does include both the Randolph County School System and the Asheboro City School System.
Okay, then backing up a few days, earlier this week we had our monthly Board of Education meeting, a full agenda for that, and also the work session that, prior to that, we had some exciting announcements regarding some administrators that took place. So why don't you update our folks on that?
Well, we were happy to welcome Brian Toth back to the Randolph County School System. He's going to be the principal of Trinity High School starting July 1. Brian has a track record with us. He's got a very positive track record as a principal and as an educator, but he's been at Asheboro High School for the last 4 years, and he, prior to that, was principal of Southwest Randolph High School, and prior to that, principal of Farmer Elementary School. So this will be his fourth principal position, and very excited to get Brian back with us. I think a lot of Brian, and he's a very talented individual, and so looking for great things for Trinity High School and for the community. The other appointment was at Winna Ashworth, who's currently the principal at Eastern Randolph High School. On July 1, she's going to come down and be the Director of Administrative Services for students. And I've worked at Winna very closely for the last 3 years, very proud of it, Winna. In my time, she's been the principal of two different schools, Southwestern Randolph Middle School and then Eastern Randolph High School. She's done a great job, and both places. And the role she's coming into is very important. Her background is a very good background to have going into that role because of different things she'll handle. But very excited because, Tim, our job is to get better at the schools and to get better at the central service level. And so I feel like that move will help us. Rick Dawes is retiring July 1. He's done a great job for us, and so when you lose Rick Dawes, you've got to have somebody coming in behind that's got the experiences that he had when he took over the job, and he's done a really good job as we've moved in some new areas. Since Rick's been in there, we've worked really hard with student assignment. We've worked really hard. Rick's carried on the great tradition of working with the athletic piece and different groups that he's dealt with in his role. So Rick retiring, we had to fill that role with somebody who had some great experiences, and I'm very confident that Winna will take it and move it forward even more.
Okay. Well, as you know, the school calendar and the district calendar is always full, regardless of the time of the year. But it seems like as we get into May, we really ramp up the calendar. And what I'd like to do is just put a few events out here before you, just give you an opportunity just to comment on them. Something we've got coming up here. Of course, now when this is broadcast, this will have already taken place, but as we speak, we're about a week away or a couple of weeks away from our retirement banquet, which is on May the 3rd. So just what does that event mean to you?
Well, you're excited for people who are retiring to move to the next stage in life for them, and hope that they can enjoy retirement. It's not quite as exciting for me because, I say that, Tim, I don't mean that in a negative way, but I do get, that night I see a lot of very talented individuals, and it does have a little bit of a, whoa, we're losing a lot of talent here when they walk across the stage on that evening, because you never want to lose talent. But the thing you can always kind of bank on is they've made such a positive mark on our school system that their legacies will continue on in the future, and they've helped build what I think is a great foundation for the school system. So I guess that night maybe is more described as a mixed emotions night for me, because now that I've been here 3 years, I do know these people even more than, or even better than I did 3 years ago, and just hate to see some of them retire. Like we mentioned, Rick. Rick's been, I've learned a lot from Rick, and when he was both as a high school principal when I first got here and then down here, and so it's tough to see some of those individuals go because of the institutional knowledge they're taking out the door with them. But we're just going to think about the great things they did for us, and including help continue to build a great foundation for our school system.
Okay. All right, another highlight on the calendar is going to be prior to our next board meeting, which is May the 16th. But before that, we're going to have a special employee recognition, another annual event in which we recognize outstanding employees and distinguished educators and some other special honors awards. So just a little bit about that event and how it's going to impact the scheduling on that night as well.
Well, Tim, I used to work for this principal who, one of his lines was about different things you can never go wrong with, and it might be you can never go wrong with going in this direction or that direction, when making decisions. But he was very skilled, and so I kind of think about that when we start talking about the retirement banquet and the employee recognition night, because you can never go wrong when you recognize employees for their great efforts, whether it's being, their 30 years of service or their 20 years of service or anything of that nature, or hey, you had a great year and you were chosen to be recognized by our school staff. When the different awards we give that night, they come out of the staff's decisions. So, I just don't think any of these events you can go wrong with having them, because I don't think we do a good enough job in the state of North Carolina of recognizing the great work by our teachers, counselors, principals, secretaries, custodians, these school employees. I don't think we do a good enough job, to be honest with you, and I wish we could do more. Because it's well known. You can go and you can do all the figuring and all. A lot of the reward they get is when they see children grow and have successful futures, and we need to continue to work in making sure we're doing as much as we can to recognize them. So that night will be fun. We do have a different schedule that night. We're going to do the employee recognition over at Randolph Community College, and it's a good problem to have. We don't have enough room here to do it. So we're going to go over there. We have a reception at 3:30. The event starts at 4:30, and then we're going to come back that night and start our board meeting a little early that night at 6 instead of waiting until 6:30, because I just don't want to hold the board up, just waiting for a 6:30 start time. We will not have a work session that night. So actually, Tim, just to kind of speak to our schedule, the board meeting in May, and then we have 3 board meetings in June, and none of those will be preceded by a work session because of just the nature of what we're dealing with some different special events and things in the community.
Okay. All right, and now staying on the calendar and also staying on the subject of recognition, there's another annual event, very exciting, in which we join with Ashburn City Schools to recognize Teacher of the Year. That'll take place at Pinewood Country Club on May 18th. And what I'd like to do is, if I could, is to go ahead and announce our 5 finalists from our schools. We had nominees from all 31 of our schools, and these are the 5. Among this 5 will be the one that will be selected on that night. We have from Coleridge Elementary School, Heather Clark. From Eastern Randolph High School, Lindsay Gallagher. From Northeastern Randolph Middle School is Adam Brown. From Providence Grove High School is Lee Miller. And then from Trindale Elementary School is Brooke Barham. So I'll just turn that over to you and talk about that event a little bit.
Well, Tim, one of the things I've enjoyed, and I've tried to make this a part of my my daily actions. I do visit schools, and I try to get to every school at least 3 times a year during the school day, and not counting other events. But I can tell you, those 5 teachers, I've all seen them all in action, and we have, for those 5, we have a whole lot more they're excellent at what they do, and it's just an honor to be a finalist. It's an honor to be chosen by your school to be the Teacher of the Year. It's an honor to be a finalist, and so that's just a great night. I think that night at some point we do recognize all the Teacher of the Year nominees. As far as at some point they'll all be recognized and asked to stand, but it goes back to that theory, or that feeling I have, is I don't know that we do enough. I don't think we do enough, and so to be able to showcase teachers and let them, there's going to be 5 that are going to be showcased that night, and they're going to be called up in front of everybody, and it's going to be great. And then there's going to be 1 who's going to be showcased as Teacher of the Year. And, on the other side, we get to see this very similar thing happen for Asheboro City School System. And as much as I love the Randolph County School System, I want this community to have the best for all the kids. So that's going to be an exciting night to even hear the positives going on in Asheboro City School System's classrooms with the teachers they'll recognize. So that's a great night. And I can't even imagine how a teacher feels to be a finalist. And I can't even imagine how one feels to be chosen to be the Teacher of the Year for our entire school system. So, but it's always exciting to see their reaction and to know that as much as we appreciate them for one moment, they are the stars. If we, and I say I wish we did more than we do in this state, but to give them that moment is just unbelievable.
Well, let's go back to the board meeting. We talked about that a moment ago, but getting back to Monday evening, we had a decision that was made on the budget for the next school year. So can you just give our community an update on that?
Yeah, the budget, Tim, was approved by the board. Now, the next day we delivered it to the county manager's office. And, our boards work with us very closely. They've done a great job. We've been in some tough economic times for several years now in this state, and I don't think any county in North Carolina could say, hey, we've been separate from those tough economic times. But I really appreciate our board, because when we deal with these issues like the budget, we try to be very transparent with them. They dig into it. They're following what we're doing, and it's just a big team effort. So now we've turned it over to the county manager's office. In May, I'll do a formal presentation to the county commissioners for the local side of the budget, and we'll see where that goes. We, as we said in a previous video, that we did meet with the county commissioners in January. We've done that every year I've been here. So they kind of knew in January what's coming, but exciting times. Our commissioners continue to work hard to try to help us. I've not ever been short on words on this. In 2 short years, they've put $750,000 additional money into our capital outlay annual budget. They've provided additional current expense money to us each of the last 2 years. And now this year we're coming with just current expense requests, no capital outlay additional funds. So going to be exciting times from here till the budget gets approved in June. But do want to say a great, big thank you to our board, because they do work with us and work hard with us, and they engage in this process. And I believe we're using our monies, our resources as effectively and efficiently as we possibly can. And it all goes back to, it's all about kids. It's all about kids. When we take those resources to pay for staff to work with kids, that gets it right back to, it's all about kids.
Okay, and also at Monday's board meeting, as we do with each board meeting, is we kick off the meeting with our time of awards and recognition, which is certainly a highlight. Just to give a quick review from this past Monday, we recognized some governor's school students, some scholastic arts winners, and as we do each month, our Star 3 students. We even had some wrestlers who weren't able to be recognized at a previous board meeting. So as we do each month, we recognize these special accomplishments, but when you're sitting there watching these students come up, or teachers or whomever it may be, and you just see the awards presentations and you see the parents in the audience, what goes through your mind?
You know, really one thing kind of pops in my mind every board meeting, and it's whether we're recognizing staff members for receiving grants. Like last month, we had 3 staff members recognized for the receipt of a grant with their ag programs, or you know, whether it's students. You know, the one thing pops in my mind every time is I am so glad we do this. I'm so glad we make this a part of our board meeting, because if you don't make time for this, it doesn't get done. It's almost like what Backdot said, I fear we don't do enough to recognize teachers. So you hear these stories about different things teachers have done, many times beyond their classroom duties, and you're saying, wow, how'd they have time to do that? And they must really love what they do to continue to do that beyond. And then you read these, or you hear these stories as you're reading the Star 3 stories, and you see these little guys coming up, or even the high school kids. I say the little guys, the elementary kids. It's just fun to watch, and then I get to see everybody out in the crowd, and you get to see, you know, the parents stand up, the school staff stand up. I just think it goes back to, I am so glad we do this every month, because it is worth every minute of time we do. You spend a lot of it, Tim. Every minute of time we spend preparing for it. And want to thank the Courier Tribune, because they provide the plaques, as you mentioned, with the Star 3 award, and that is not that does not go without notice. And their appreciation from me and our school system towards them doing that has not, you know, does not waver. We are very appreciative, because, you know, I've seen kids get stuff like that, and you know, 10 years from now, they know where that plaque is. Right. They know that they were chosen from Coleridge Elementary School to be the Star 3 student, or from Trinity High School or Wheatmore High School. They know that, or Southwest High School, Southwest Middle. They know that. They remember that night more than I think we may think they remember it. So, you know, I thank you for your work, and everybody's, you know, the counselors work hard with you with the Star 3. Rick Dawes works hard at it to get that stuff to the board meeting, and that's just it's worth every minute we put into that.
Well, and it seems like we've spent quite a bit of this session talking about recognitions, and I guess the recognition of all recognitions is coming up really soon, and that's graduation. And I know we spent a little bit of time talking about that in our last interview, but probably worth revisiting. You know, we've got our first graduation service, believe it or not, on May 17th with our early college, and then our traditional high schools on June the 7th. So can you just give maybe a little refresher to our community about those times, and just what you anticipate with the graduation services?
Well, to begin with graduation coming, I just want to say I'm really proud of all of our principals. Running a school is not an easy task, and it can't be a job. It's got to be something you really enjoy. So I think, you know, we need to continue to make that part of our conversation. We have 31 people who are working very hard on behalf of schools with their teachers. But then when you get to graduation, I really get proud of those high school principals. You know, we're going to kick off with the first graduation of the early college with April Thompson. She's finishing her first year as a high school principal. I'm just really proud of her and the way she's eased into that role and learned all year. And so that'll be a good ending to her first year as a principal, much in particular a high school principal. And then we start working around the system, and you know, we've got Eastern and Providence Grove are going to be, I think it's June 7th. They're going to go at 6 and 8. Winna Ashworth and Brad Walston have decided to kind of stagger their times, because that is, you know, one region of the county, and there is some overlap between maybe aunts and uncles, grandparents of maybe kids at both schools. So Winna's going to have her graduation at Eastern at 6. Brad's going to have his at 8, and they decided that a long time ago, so it's been out there. Then you've got, both of them are finishing their second year at those high schools and have done really well. Dennis Hamilton has gone up to Randolph. It's been very exciting to watch him just continue to help that place get better. He's ending year 2. He and Sean at Southwest High School, are going to have their graduations at 7 that night. And Sean Hildress in I want to say it's year 4 he's finishing. I may be off a year, but really proud of both of them and their growth. And then we're going to go up to the Trinity area, and they're staggered. So again, in the Trinity Wheatmore area, you've got some overlapping families with Wheatmore and Trinity. And so Tim Setzer's going to do 6 o'clock with Trinity High School, and Eric Johnson's going to do 8 o'clock at Wheatmore. And there again, I've watched Eric grow. I'm very excited about watched him grow. I think this is year 5 or 4 for him at Wheatmore. And then Tim Setzer, I told him the other day he was over here, and I want to make sure I say this publicly. Tim Setzer really, he continues to be a real champion for the Randolph County School System, and really proud of what he's done this year. He's been there since November, and so looking forward to seeing him finish Trinity High School. He loves Trinity High School, and see him finish the year on a high note with graduation. Graduation, I know everybody gets excited about graduation, from the students and the teachers and all, but I can tell you personally, from being a high school principal, that was the ultimate experience for me. To see those children come in and just to see them in that formal ceremony, and some of the things the students would say to you on that night would really blow you away. You may not realize it, and they may have not said it, but until that night. And some of the things they may say to you when they come across that stage will really blow you away. And what it does, if as a high school principal, you walk off that stage from graduation knowing our country's in great hands. Right. Because there's going to be a day when you and I we're going to be retired. Right. And these guys are going to be leading this country. And so it's exciting. So I wouldn't trade high school graduation for anything. I'd love to be able to go to all 7 of them. But it's just not going to work that way. But I'm trying my best to get around the county, and so, at this point I've seen Trinity, I've seen Wheatmore, I've seen the early college, and I've seen Providence Grove. But I'm eager to eventually be able to say I've seen them all, because we have great communities all throughout this school system, and so they'll get a good night to celebrate for the kids that they've helped raise too. They've helped raise them, the school system's helped raise them, and so be a proud night for everybody.
And I think I should share with the community that Dr. Gainey remembered all those times without a script. At first I thought I was putting him on the spot a little bit to ask him the graduation times. He not only gave us the correct times, he gave us the tenure of the principals at the school. So I'm always impressed by his photographic memory.
Well, Tim, I want to interrupt you, and I'll make no bones about it. I love our staff. I love our staff, and I love our principals. And what they do as principals is I think we've got a very good group of principals, very talented, good people, and we've really built a team. We've really built a team there, and I want us to only get better. So it's not hard for me to keep up what they're doing, because I hope our relationships are continuing to build, because the conversations we have, and they keep me updated on what's going on with their schools. It's very easy to cheer for them. It really is easy to cheer for them because of what they do for our kids and the relationships we're trying to build.
Okay. Well, Dr. Gainey, as we sit here right now, there's about a month and a half left in the school year. So what I'd like to do, now that we've got most of the year under our belt and we're finishing things out, could you just sort of close us out with some observations of the school year, some anticipation of the next month and a half, and just some general thoughts from the superintendent?
Well, Tim, when I look at the end of my 3rd year here, one of the things that grabs my attention is I think we're continuing down this road of building relationships, and it doesn't matter what else we may or may not be successful in, or what we may be successful in. Success will not stay for a long time unless we have these relationships. I continue to be excited about the community relationships we're having or building, the relationships with teachers. I appreciate these teachers this year. Every year it's just continued to improve, in my opinion. I go in classrooms, they share with me what they're doing. They are the authorities in their classroom, and I've just watched that, and this year's been even more fun than the previous 2 years in that realm. We finally made it through a winter without a bunch of weather. And so that's exciting. because it has been hard on this community. It's been hard on the parents. And when we're in school, out of school, I mean, they've been very understanding and very patient with us, but it's been difficult the last 2 winters until this winter as far as, you know, I said something to somebody the other day. Yesterday we had a power outage at about 9 schools. And, you know, it's hard for a parent to go to work in the winter and know the forecast means they may have to leave work early because their child may have to be released from school early. And yesterday when the power outage hit, I was like, please, let's get this power back on because we don't, you know, we hadn't had much of this year, and they're not expecting this if we have to let some schools out. Turned out we didn't. But, Tim, I don't have this you know, finite moment or this finite occurrence. I've just got a whole collage of things, you know, from, you know, events at schools, whether it be elementary, middle, or high schools, events over here with staff members, you know, the celebrations we're getting ready to do. But it all comes back to, I just hope we're continuing to develop relationships amongst each other. And I believe we are. I believe we are, and more work to be done. But that's what's exciting to me because that's where whatever success we have will stick over the course of time if we have the solid relationships between staff, school-based staff, central service-based staff, administration at schools, and staff members at schools, you know, and even then community members in our school system.
Well, Dr. Gainey, thank you for taking the time to share with us. I'm sure those in the community enjoy hearing about the things that are happening in our school system, and we certainly enjoy sharing them. And thank you also to Randolph Communications each month for giving us this opportunity. This has been the update for April 2016, and we look forward to seeing you again in May. Thank you.